Operation Metro Surge in Minnesota hasn't been perfect.
And what we've been working safer, more efficient, by the book.
Homan said there could be a drawdown in the number of agents.
K-Man Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
News Radio, KMAN, weather.
Well, currently in Manhattan, 33. As tonight, we do have a very small chance of flurries. It's after 1 a.m. It's a mostly cloudy night. 12 will be our low. Chance of flurries again on Friday, a high reaching 22. We'll have a temperature below 0 on Friday night. Saturday, 19. But then it's looking better starting on Sunday. If you like the 40s like I do, compared to the 20s, 41 on Sunday, Monday's high 40, 41 on Tuesday, Wednesday 41. Seeing consistent temperatures in the low 40s. I will take it. It's time for the game here on News Radio KMAN.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is the game on News Radio KMAN.
Would y'all be okay if I just took a break from sports for one day? It did just have another show of dogpiling on basketball and, kind of in a lull with football with the transfer portal class pretty much done and now recruiting really focused on 2027, Spring ball, of course, it feels like it won't be taking too long to ramp up, and it's hard to find a conversation, a storyline about K-State men's basketball without being too negative. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of tired of being negative. This isn't fun. The more the conversation is about the offseason than this current season. Now, it's not our faults. It's just where the conversation leads. That's where the storyline is at. And then I was, there was a question that was sent in via the text line yesterday, and it brought up a thought which, to be honest with you, I have not given it a single thought all season, and I thought it was a interesting thing that we'll talk about here in just a moment. Welcome to the game. I'm Mitch Fortner, and I am flying solo. I'm in the captain's chair. I'm on the board today, which I was on this board for 6 years on this show before there was a changing of the guard of sports director and I became the host. And now I'm flying solo as Cole Dutchendorf is on his way to McPherson's historic Roundhouse for the first round of the Mid-America Classic. The Manhattan High girls basketball team today is going to be taking on Shawnee Mission East in its first round, with pregame coverage coming up at about 6 o'clock. Now, full disclosure here, I do have to leave at 5:30. It's going to be a bit of a shorter show. But I'm going to go cover some basketball games myself. And since I'm the only one here, got to get there on time, but still plenty to talk about. Again, I'm flying solo, and I also have tickets to give away. I'll get to that here in just a moment. Now, coming up at 4:30, very excited to be speaking with the director of track and field and cross country here at K-State, Travis Geopfert. Of course, what's leading that discussion will be the men's indoor team, the third-ranked team in the nation, but I'd love more of a background on that ranking. What exactly does that mean? The indoor track and field season is pretty short. There's typically 4 or 5 meets. K-State is hosting the majority of them. They got the DeLoss Dodds starting tomorrow. It's a 2-day event. More information on that and more about where this track and field team is at, where we're, obviously when you see that number 3 ranking, kind of reminds you, if you're a Seinfeld fan, Kramer, when he dramatically reacts to something maybe out of the ordinary, awkward, shocking, he gives you this like real quick head reaction, this head jerk. Oh my gosh. That's kind of how I felt when I saw that number 3 ranking come up, and I was like, what a breath of fresh air that is. because there's not a whole lot of rankings to talk about when it comes to K-State basketball, or K-State sports rather in general, because it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of good coming our way really anytime soon. And then all of a sudden we have a team that's number 3 in the nation. So what does that number 3 ranking mean? Is it your typical, like if it's a football comparison? Is it like the AP Top 25, or is it kind of a different ranking? I want to get that background and what exactly it means from the man himself, K-State track and field and cross-country coach, Travis Geopfert. Now, as I promised on yesterday's show, I do have more K-State men's basketball tickets to give away. This time today, it's a 4-pack of tickets. Now, I want to do things a little bit differently. I want to get the conversation going since I'm by myself with you, the listener. Now, since I'm by myself, the phone line is closed. I don't have the opportunity to pick up the phone because I can't screen the calls. I'm live on the air. This is not taped or anything. So I want to get you involved in the conversation. So if you want to get on this giveaway, if you want a chance to win these 4-pack of tickets, I want you to text in. You can text a question or a comment. You can just say, hey, just any sort of dialogue, anything you want to get off your mind about K-State sports right now or something you want to ask me about. Feel free to text in 785-537-1350. And I want to get to those questions in our 510 segment to wrap up today's show. Just answer your questions. This is something we don't do very often. Yes, I'll ask for questions, for comments, and you guys are great about bringing those in. I want to specifically dedicate a segment to just your questions, a Q&A. So if you're very interested in that, or if you want to put in a question but you don't want the tickets, you can also say so yourself. But that's also your way to get in on the giveaway. Text a question, comment. You could say hey or anything you want. 785-537-1350 is the phone number to text in. All right, so back to the original thing I was talking about to open up the show. A question we got on yesterday's text line bringing up a topic that I had not even given a thought, and it's obviously it's because of K-State's lack of success. Again, a brand new team for the most part. But it's about PJ Haggerty. So let's just talk about PJ Haggerty for a moment. The question was, has PJ Haggerty improved his NBA draft stock with this season here at K-State? I was like, man, I had not thought about that. Like, it's the last thing on my mind. Because I'm thinking right here, right now, this is obviously going to probably be the only season with PJ unless, I don't know, something crazy happens. I don't see it happening. Because if you know anything about his recruitment, NIL money was a pretty major factor there. Actually, I'll go back and tell that story here in just a moment. But I was like, man, what a heck of a question that, to be honest with you, I'm not even really sure what the answer to that question is. So let's talk our way through that question. I think this is a great topic that maybe takes away or maybe helps us step aside from all the negativity this team has altogether and just focus on what PJ Haggerty has meant to his game, to K-State, and so on. So let's go back to when he was recruited. Because if you remember what happened, was K-State lucky to even get PJ Haggerty? I mean, this goes back to May, and it has to do with NC State. NC State was recruiting PJ Haggerty, and at that time it was reported, I mean, this was coming straight from the people of Haggerty that represents PJ Haggerty, and that he wants $4 million. On3 had him ranked as the number 3 player and a 5-star of the transfer portal. As one of the top players in the entire portal, you're going to ask for the most money. So the number seems high, but it doesn't surprise me. NC State was very interested. PJ Haggerty was very interested in NC State. However, there was also another player that NC State was very heavy on, which was going to be a high price tag. NC State has that money. They could make a move here. And that player was Darian Williams, coming from Texas Tech, different position, right? And I remember when this story all came up, I was like, this is going to be interesting because what's at need for these two teams? Well, NC State was more in need of a forward. K-State at the time was still needing that top player, but was looking at guard, was looking at point guard. They needed that guy. And PJ Haggerty obviously would be checking a ton of boxes. Well, after that story surfaced, now as K-State fans, and I remember we were just kind of waiting, like, oh, now maybe things are starting to change. Maybe NC State, the Wolfpack, are no longer howling at PJ Haggerty. They're looking at Darian Williams. Well, it turns out they do go Darian Williams, which then that put PJ Haggerty in a kind of a bit of a rough spot because there were already teams that were very interested in Haggerty, but they passed because they thought $4 million was too much. So because of NC State saying no, this put K-State in a very interesting spot because then it looks like K-State is maybe the most likely spot, but would K-State have to pay $4 million for PJ Haggerty? Well, the answer to that was no, as Haggerty was falling into the lap of K-State. Also with this came a cheaper deal, a reduced NIL deal, which it was essentially cut in half. $2 million plus an extra $500,000 in incentives, which I don't know if those incentives are going to, if they are team-based or there's some, certainly individually based. I'm sure he'll reach some, but not all. So PJ Haggerty becomes a Wildcat in May and was very complimentary about K-State basketball and about Jerome Tang in this fit. And one of the things that I remember Haggerty mentioning is that he didn't specifically mention Marquise Noel, but that Jerome Tang just lets his guards play. And when Marquise Noel was here, that was celebrated because Bruce didn't really let Marquise Noel do his own thing. But also Marquise wasn't a starter. We still had Nigel Pack. Marquise becomes a starter. The handcuffs are off. And, from day one, it was like there's only been a handful of guys where it was even before they hit the floor or hit the field that I couldn't have been more excited for, bought in on, and that was Deuce Vaughn and Marquise Noel. Marquise Noel becomes a superstar in his last season in that first year under Jerome Tang. That's because Jerome Tang believed of just letting Marquise Noel do his thing. The most complaints that Noel got was his turnovers. And I always said that Marquise would always make up for those turnovers, and I still believe that he did. And I think the numbers obviously back that up. But PJ liked that about K-State. He liked that about Jerome Tang. He thought Jerome Tang has great values, both as a person and as a basketball coach and a basketball mind. And he felt that the K-State would be the right spot to improve on what he needs to improve on because he was in the NBA draft process. So he comes out. He's now here at K-State. He wants to be a primary ball handler. Well, Jerome Tang, of course, as one of the best players in the nation coming to K-State, yes, you should be that guy, primary ball handler, be the leader of this team, and by the way, also go score a whole bunch of points. All right, so now back to the question, has PJ Haggerty improved his draft stock? It was thought maybe he could be a second rounder for last year's draft. From what I know, which, the draft is still 5 months away, 6 months, whatever it is. I don't think a whole lot has moved. Like, there's not a whole lot of people talking about second rounders yet. But I think at best, PJ Haggerty is probably still a second rounder. Based on what he was able to do at Memphis compared to what he's doing at K-State, yes, some of the numbers are certainly better. His assist numbers are certainly better. His passing, I think his passing has been underrated as a point guard. What he's been able to do with the assist numbers, he is leading K-State to being one of the best assist teams in the nation. That is one of the few positives this team has had throughout pretty much this entire season. Some pretty solid passing, finding the shooters. He's obviously scoring at a high clip, but I still think his weaknesses, I don't think they've improved, to be honest with you. And one of them, and I think this is maybe the biggest issue for PJ Haggerty, is his decision-making. What has stood out with him recently is some of the last-minute stuff. As I say last minute of the game. We saw it against Utah, trying to throw it off the floor, trying to get the breakaway to Nate Johnson when the shot clock is off. K-State's winning the game, and you want to run out the clock. You don't want to take these risks. The Oklahoma State game, flinging it up towards the hoop with 2 seconds to go when you could have taken a dribble, and maybe some of that is also on coaching, for sure. That has to be on coaching. There was no leadership there at the end of the KU game for the last 5 minutes or so. And then, the West Virginia game. So, a couple of those shots, PJ is just so locked in on trying to draw fouls. And I'm sure Coach Tang has had this conversation with PJ multiple times that when we need a bucket, we need a bucket. If you're going to get fouled, you're going to get fouled. If you got room to shoot the ball, worry about shooting the ball. Worry about a clean release, trying to hit that shot because we needed that 3-pointer. And to be fair, PJ hasn't necessarily been a very clutch player when it comes to free throws. So I would be more comfortable with PJ just hitting the 3, which he can. He's having one of his best, percentage seasons of shooting the 3 ball. But he prefers to get downhill. Now, I still think next level, what is very attractive about PJ Haggerty is his versatility. He's a 3-level scorer. Now, he needs to be more consistent in each half. Recently, his efficiency in the first half has been way off. He's missing a lot of shots. Right now, over the last 5 Big 12 games, he has averaged just 4.5 points in the first half. And this is the guy that's one of the best scorers in the nation. He turns it on in the second half, but that's also it's like K-State is afraid of inconsistency on offense, which is their biggest issue on offense, the inconsistency. The turnover numbers aren't anything outrageous, right? But we've seen offensively this team is starting to go downhill. It's more than just started. It's going downhill. The numbers are getting worse. It's just really the overall number, the points, really. That's the number, right? That's the key number. It's continuing to go downhill. K-State isn't getting to the free throw line as much. And I know for a fact, PJ Haggerty, frustration, it probably has to do a lot with he's not getting as many whistles that he thinks he deserves. But at the same time, what is kind of canceling that out is PJ himself is getting away with a lot. There isn't a home game where the opposing bench is it's home and away, I'm sure it's happening, where the opposing bench is yelling that PJ is traveling at least 10 times a game. That's where he's maybe getting the superstar bump, so to speak. He's just not getting in with the whistles, but also PJ gets in a state of mind where he does get confident. He doesn't lack confidence. Maybe he passes a little bit too much, or there's at times I wish he would pass a little bit more. That's specifically when he dribbles himself into trouble. That will typically lead to a low percentage shot, a shot that he should never take, and that's where the bad decisions come into play. It's basically turnovers. His turnovers are almost 4 a game, but if you add in the bad shots that he takes or just some of the bad decision-making, you could probably double that number, and it's 8 or 9 turnovers a game. But he is still very skillful in the offensive game. At times, he's a magician. At times, I'm still blown away about his concentration. But it's just like almost everything else with this team, it is at times a bit inconsistent. But he's clearly K-State's best option to score the basketball. So much so that it comes to criticism with this team that this basketball team doesn't have a plan B. If something's going wrong, actually Ross Hodge, West Virginia coach Ross Hodge, basically brought this up in the postgame press conference to where, down the stretch, K-State wasn't a hard team to stop or get the ball from, or they were able to execute because, one, for whatever reason, it's like the momentum, or really I should say the effort on the glass, on the defensive end, it kind of becomes a play not to lose mentality. Afraid of making mistakes. And then on the offensive end, what the game turns into is the PJ Haggerty show. The ball's going to go into PJ's hands. He's going to make the plays. And that has not changed no matter what the lineup is, no matter who's injured, who's in the game. PJ is the guy to get the ball. And they were very aware of that. And they called it out during the press conference. There's been no budging from that. There's no second option. So PJ is just an easy target to go guard. He's not necessarily the hardest guy to guard. He's not the quickest guy on the floor. But I will say when he gets to the second level of the defense, that's where he becomes very impressive. But also with the concerns is obviously he's a offensive-minded player. He is not a defensive-minded player. He is so good on offense. He is so invested on offense. It's almost like the lack of being locked in defensively for us. Does it cancel it out? Like, is it hard to enjoy what PJ Haggerty has been doing on the offensive end of all the points he is scoring? Is that getting kind of ruined for us? Are we not appreciating that because, for one, defensively he is not the same player at all, and two, this team just isn't winning? Like, is this going to become a forgettable part of what PJ Haggerty has done here at K-State? I'm just leaving that as an open question. I feel like I've been able to do a good job to appreciate what PJ Haggerty has added. Because keep in mind, again, going back to his recruiting story, if he goes to NC State, K-State obviously has to adjust. And, who knows who K-State would end up getting to fill those shoes of PJ Haggerty. And just think if he got hurt and it wasn't somebody else. If we're not already at DEFCON 1, we're certainly there. He is no doubt one of the best stories of this season. But I would assume you as the fan would say probably Taj Manning or David Castillo are those guys. But PJ is still a pretty special player. And heck, you could argue this was the best recruiting year for K-State. Maybe. If you look at I'm talking just strictly out of the portal. If you think about who K-State added, they added three top 80 players. PJ Haggerty, Nate Johnson, and Abdi Bashir are all top 3 players. Only recruited one high school kid, is Xavier Wilson, their point guard. He hasn't played this year. Now K-State, again, just too many inconsistencies, though. KU has run into the same problems, I think, as of late. But what KU has had, and again, we talked about this with Drew Galloway yesterday, is they had guys to build around. What kept KU, as in outside of their coaching, first of all, they still built everything around DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams. Like, they had guys that were lifers at KU. And certainly DeJuan Harris was a leader, and to have a point guard for as long as they have, even like that was kind of what helped them get through this first start of NIL and transfer portal, but they still had their inconsistencies. They still had their issues. They missed on a lot of guys, like because of recent recruiting. KU hasn't had a bench, and that's cost them in the NCAA tournament. Hunter Dickinson didn't live up to being the number 1 player in the transfer portal when he came, but he was still good. But they still had the stability. Better coaching, and just having guys stick around has been such a major key. I feel like this team does have some pretty good pieces. And I think what we've learned so far is when you got a couple of guys that can stick around once in a while, Marquise Noel, David Gasson, those are a couple of examples that you're going to see improvement. Let's take a break. So again, to answer the question, I don't know if I can answer that question. Is PJ Haggerty, has his stock risen? I don't think it has, but I don't think it's dropped. He is just who he is. And he's going to play to his best potential as to who he is. He's going to go get you points. Defensively, it could be a problem. He's not the worst defender on this team. But it's not fair to bash his defending without talking about the others. We'll take a break, and when we come back, K-State track and field coach Travis Geopfert will join us next as you're listening to The Game.
This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The Giannis trade saga is going to dominate NBA conversations all the way to the All-Star break and the NBA trade deadline. It's clear he wants out. Just as clear, the Bucks are no longer the intimidating force they once were. Both can still be true. What should not be true is Milwaukee rushing the process. You don't hurry when you're holding a two-time MVP. The Bucks cannot afford to settle for a, quote, good package. This has to be something that changes the franchise. You can say, let's help out Giannis. More importantly, you got to help out yourself. If nothing at the deadline truly moves the needle, patience is the smarter play. Summer trades open more doors. Teams have flexibility and cap sheets change. This is when the bidding wars are born. Giannis's time in Milwaukee appears to be up. What matters now is how fast the Bucks move, but also how smart they move. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
There are many times I thought, I can't do this. I mean, what parent isn't worried about? What am I not doing right? What am I not doing enough? And then I realized, wait, that's being a parent.
Don't worry about being perfect. I've had around 3 other mother figures in my life, but only one of them has taught me how a mother loves.
The greatest reward for me is he makes me better every day.
I would tell a family considering adopting a teenager that teenager, whoever it is, needs you, and they need what you have to offer.
Taylor's given me hope. He's our son, and that is what he will always be.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
In many countries around the world, medical care is scarce. Countless millions have no access to safe surgery. Mercy Ships is there to help. Mercy Ships provides free surgeries for the thousands of those who are waiting for surgery at each port.
Mercy Ships is bringing services to countries that would otherwise never be able to access those services.
Find out how you can help by visiting our website at mercyships.org. That's mercyships.org.
For area high school scores, recaps, league standings, and coach interviews, check out Scoreboard Saturday at 8 a.m. during football and basketball season, including coverage of the Centennial League, NCKL, Big East League, Flint Hills League, and the Twin Valley League. Scoreboard Saturday on News Radio KMAN is powered by WTC Communications.
I'm Mitch Fortner with the Game Sports Update. Tonight here on, well, actually, it's going to be on Sunny 102.5. We'll join in progress a little bit later on, but K-State women's basketball is at home. They're going to wrap up the month of January as they take on the Colorado Buffaloes inside of Bramlage Coliseum. Now, the latest on Tess Hill. It appears that she has not been cleared to play after her NCAA violation. According to the latest Big 12 availability report, she has been listed as doubtful, which is still a blow for K-State. She has been averaging 19 points a game over her last 6 contests. She had to miss the KU game. However, tonight is the return of a former K-State player. Guard Ziana Walker is returning to Bramlage Coliseum, playing for the Colorado Buffaloes. The Wichita native played the last 2 seasons with the Cats. She started all 36 games during last season's Sweet 16 run, and she has started in 14 of 20 games for the Buffaloes. She is the team's third leading scorer at 11 a game, and also is one of the best in the Big 12 at 2.2 steals per contest. Tonight's tip-off is at 6:30. Tonight here on KMAN, it is coverage of Manhattan High girls basketball. The Tribe in the first round of the Mid-America Classic from the historic Roundhouse in McPherson, as will be taken on in the first round, 1-9, Shawnee Mission East. 6:10 for the tip-off. Pregame at 6 here on KMAN. And we are back. I'm Mitch Fortner. I'm solo today here on the board, here on the game. We're with you until 5:30. I'm getting out here a little bit early. Still get away a 4-pack of tickets. K-State men's basketball taking on the Iowa State Cyclones. And that's a Sunday game. It'll tip off at 1 o'clock. Power K game day will be at 11 in the morning. And I have a 4-pack to give away. If you want 4 tickets to the game, text me a question or comment. Just if you have a comment about K-State sports, you want to talk about the success of track and field so far, we could do that. We can talk about basketball, football, whatever. Text in questions or comments to 785-537-1350 as we're doing a listener Q&A coming up at 5:10. We already got some doozy of a question so far and some comments as well. So we'll try to get to everybody as we can. If we don't get to you, that doesn't mean you're not in the running for the tickets. That's just your way to get your name thrown into the hat. Speaking of the success of K-State track and field, I'm very excited now to be joined here on the show by the director of K-State track and field, along with cross country. In his second year, we now welcome in Travis Geopfert. Coach, first of all, thank you for being on the show. You just had the Thane Baker Invitational not long ago. What's that feeling like of kicking off and just a season in general? Is it compared to opening day of baseball or opening day of football? Do you have that feeling when you get that team out there for the first time?
Oh yeah, Ben, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah. You know, I was describing it earlier. Like I'm struggling to sleep at night and waking up early in the morning, and it's not out of anxiety or stress or anything. It's literally just excitement, you know. And so I'm excited for this team, and excited for the show that we can put on for the K-State fans. I think this meet that we have coming up is pretty special, and we're building on the momentum, like you mentioned, of that last meet, and we're excited to get this party started this weekend.
You know, you brought up, you know, kind of your life as a coach there a little bit. You're excited to get out there. I've heard a lot of crazy stories about how coaches go day by day just to be a coach. Do you have any crazy stories or a crazy routine that you go day by day just to be a coach?
I don't know if there's any crazy stories or routines. I tell you what, man, you have to. I know my wife is a saint, that's for sure. And you know, I've been getting up way too early, you know, before 5 in the morning, and just excited to get the party started. But we got a whole coaching staff that's built like that right now, and so everybody's ready to rock and roll. And I think that's the only craziness is we're all getting the party started early in the morning and getting after this thing. So.
When did the season start? As in, like, practice, preparing for that first indoor meet, or does it ever end?
It never ends in track and field. We started our training right after Labor Day in September. And cross-country season is going, you know, at that point in time. And then track and field athletes are actually training through what's called fall training. And then the indoor season begins basically the second weekend in January, like we did. And then that ends the second weekend in March. And then we have about a 2-week break, and then the outdoor season starts the first weekend in April and ends the second weekend in June. So track and field coaches and athletes, we're glutton for punishment, man. It's almost year round. So.
Well, after the first meet, I saw one of your quotes in the post-meet story there at kstatesports.com, and you talked about how proud you were with this team coming right out of the gate and the way they competed. Is there anything that really stood out to you that really made you proud about, either as a surprise or you expected it? What just really stands out about that first time out there on the track?
Yeah, there was a lot of great individual performances, you know, and, you know, we rewrote the top 10 list and a few different things, which is super exciting at a historic program like K-State. But the two school records, Gary Moore Jr. in the weight throw was a terrific record, and and he's one of the best throwers in the NCAA right now. And then Vanessa Mercera in our women's 400. Those are the two main ones that stand out. But the moment that stands out to me was during the 4x4 when Oregon had the lead on us, and we have Heath Grant, our true freshman anchor leg, that's down by about 10 meters. And he walks down the Oregon 400-meter runner for the win in the 4x4. And the crowd that was here, and what was really cool was the team. Our team rushed the track after we won that 4x4, and I watched that, and I'm like, we got a team. We got a team. And so that was the proud moment for me during the meet, for sure.
Now, I'm not the most knowledgeable about college track and field, but when you say Oregon, I mean, it kind of reminds me of like UConn in basketball. What's your connection to Oregon? Like, was that important for you to have them at this meet?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been friends with the head coach there is Jerry Schumacher, and a great coach, and I've known him. He was at Wisconsin when I was at Northern Iowa, and we had a lot of meets and around each other a lot 25 years ago, and been friends for a long time. And he had asked us to come out to Oregon to their regular season meet in April, and to go out there is a long haul, and it's not an easy thing to do. And so it was a little bit of a home and away, like, yeah, we want to come support what you're doing out there, and will you come support what we're doing here? And he's like, absolutely, we will. And so that's what it was. Like, they agreed to come here for an indoor meet if we agreed to go out there for an outdoor meet, and we're just, trying to help have complete teams at these track meets and help the sport grow. And it was an effort by both of our programs to do that.
When you travel like that, are you able to fly with everything, like the pole vault stuff, all that? You're able to fly with that?
It can be a challenge, but yeah, we find ways to pull it off. We've been doing it long enough, and we've got a grid of like the planes that'll hold the poles. And sometimes they argue with us at the airport, like, no, it'll fit. I promise you, it'll fit.
Well,
yeah.
A big thing we definitely wanted to talk about with you today was the other day, it pops up there on social media that the men's indoor team is number 3 in the country. I don't know. The analogy I use to my reaction to that, I don't know if you're a Seinfeld fan.
Oh, yeah.
But Kramer, like whenever he sees something kind of weird or strange or surprising, he'll give that big head jerk reaction of like shock. I was like, whoa, how about that? Like, what a nice thing to see. That's really exciting stuff. But a couple of questions about that. First of all, is it a typical ranking like in football, the AP votes, and then you have your top 25, or is this ranking different from other sports?
Yeah, it's very calculated. It's actually solely based on what you've actually done on the track. And so that first meet for us was really big. And there's a few programs, we had one track meet, and there's a few programs that have had 2 or 3, because the season actually does start at the beginning of January. And we had a really good track meet, and all those results it's a calculation based off of what we did. And we're ranked number 3 in the country right now. Yep.
So is it possible, like, for example, the 60 or whatever, like if you had a runner finish, instead of finishing in second, they finished in 8th or 9th, could that alone just greatly impact where you're ranked?
No, it's more about the performance. It's more about how fast they run in that 60-meter dash, or how far they jump in the triple jump or the long jump. And that's what we so like our triple jumpers right now in the entire NCAA, I think we're ranked 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 8th. So we have 4 athletes that are in triple jump. You score the top 8 at the NCAA championships in track and field. And so according to our ranking right now, we have 4 triple jumpers that could possibly score at the NCAA championships. And then Gary Moore Jr. is in that. Our high jumper is number 1 in the country. So we have some superstars that are in high scoring positions, and that's why we have the high rank right now. Yep. I
happen to notice that you guys did a pretty decent job in recruiting and getting some folks in the transfer portal as well. What do you accredit that to? Does that go to your assistants? Because I'm sure it's nice to have like a Tara Davis Woodhall on your staff who was an Olympic gold medalist. I'm sure that's a big help.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that success breeds success, and so our staff is they're amazing. And I feel like I've built my career on being able to identify talent and recruit well, and now I'm like, holy cow, these assistants they're showing me up. Like, they're recruiting machines. they're getting after it on every front. And I'm so proud of all of them and the effort that they've put in. They've identified talent, and then they've went out and they've gotten the talent, from all walks of life. We've obviously utilized the transfer portal, but we've also got some superstar freshmen from the state of Kansas, and so we're trying to have a good mix of that. And I just think it's a lot of great attitudes and efforts by our staff that is gotten that recruiting class. But then the other part of this, there was so much of a foundation built here for us when we walked in the door. And I got to give a lot of credit to Coach Cliff Rivelto and this administration, because we now have an indoor track that you come in and you walk in, and we're only on our second year of the indoor track, and there's some wow factor in here. And so that's a huge part of the recruiting as well. Like USA Track and Field Sports Science is here this week, and they said it to us, like, this might be the best training environment in the United States. And with our indoor and outdoor track, and it really might be. It's pretty awesome.
Well, as a fan of K-State, that makes me feel amazing just to hear that. That's truly special. Another thing about recruiting, I was a sprinter in high school. Now, I wasn't good enough to be, going to the D1 level, but I was okay. But I would just be curious, like if it's an athlete running the 100-yard dash, I'd like to know how detailed your recruiting is when you evaluate somebody. Is it more than just the time they run?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you just got to have an eye for a talent. Like you'll get somebody that has a mark that's good and like, okay, maybe they could possibly be a scorer in the Big 12, and the immediate response is send me video. And then you evaluate the video, or you see them in person if you can, but a lot of video. And you just kind of know, you've been doing it long enough, like, all right, that kid's got it, and so, and Alan Hanna is one of them, from Mays High School. We signed him when he jumped 7 feet. And now 7 feet's good, don't get me wrong, but 7 feet doesn't do anything for us at the NCAA level, and it won't win a conference championship. 7 feet's it's just good. And then, but after we signed him, he jumped 7'3.5" in high school, and then now that's really good. And then he walks in here as a true freshman, and his first meet out jumped 7'4.5", and now he's, tied for the lead in the NCAA. So I do really appreciate our staff's efforts in identifying young talent before it gets really good, and we got a bunch of those types of kids on this team right now.
Travis Geopfert is our guest. He is the director of track and field and cross country at K-State. One more question about recruiting, because I think this is truly fascinating, especially since I don't know much about the behind the scenes. But I remember, this has been a while now, but K-State used to have some football players that also ran track. Aaron Lockett and Terrence Newman. I mean, they were all Big 12 guys, and I think Terrence Newman still holds records. I'm just curious, is that still a thing where you may ask a football player that may have some elite speed to step in and maybe run the 100, or do a double recruit, like to try to get them to come to play two sports? Because K-State does have some football players that did very well in track and field.
Yeah, absolutely. It is still a thing. It's a little bit more few and far between, but yes, it's definitely a thing. And I actually talked to Coach Jacobs the other day, our new strength and conditioning coach, and they're excited about working together. And, I need to still connect with Coach Klein, but I know conversations have been had up there, and the whole staff's getting their feet on the ground. But I think everybody still seems very receptive to doing that, and you need speed on the football field. And I'm a football fan and a football guy, and if we can help football in any way at all and vice versa, yeah, we are 100% open to it. It's just it's not quite as common as it used to be. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, coming up, starting tomorrow, it's the DeLost Dodds Invitational. You have another meet right here in Manhattan at the Cliff Rivelto Indoor Track. Just a couple of things about that. One, can you tell me about what something you're having here it's called the World Athletes Indoor Tour, and it's going to be 4 events. Can you tell me more about what that's like or what that's about?
Yeah, it's a meet that we got certified through World Athletics. And we are bringing some of the best athletes from around the world. There's 12 Olympians that are coming to compete in the men's and women's long jump, the men's high jump, and the women's pole vault. And all those professional athletes, it's a professional track meet. And it's a little weird in track and field. They're actually allowed to compete with the collegians. So our best K-State athletes that are really talented are also going to be in those fields. And then there's a couple other collegians from USC, Southern California is coming with some of their best athletes. Oklahoma's coming with some of their best athletes. And so it's going to be a little bit of a mix of these pros and these collegians teeing it off, and quite arguably definitely the best field events, indoor track meet in the United States, and one of the best in the world.
Well, certainly it's great to see that K-State track and field is still very exciting through the coaching change. It hasn't let up. You guys are still pushing. It's getting better and better, and that's a lot of fun to follow with. And fans have an opportunity to see your teams perform in person. So I'd just like to ask about any other details you want to get out there about the DeLost Odds Invitational and how fans can attend and see you guys in action.
Yeah. So the meet, the main portion of the meet. So you can come a little bit earlier on Friday. You can come about 4:00 on Friday and see a lot of collegiate events from 4 until 7 on Friday. But then from 7 until 9, that's when it changes on Friday night. We are going to open up the inside of the indoor track, so you can bring your lawn chairs. You can literally sit right next to the high jump pit, right next to the long jump runway and the pole vault pit, and then people are going to sit on it's a banked 200-meter track indoors. So it's almost like a NASCAR track. You know how it's banked? So you're going to be able to sit on the banked track around the track and get up close and personal and watch these athletes from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night on Friday night, and then the rest of the meet finishes up from noon until 5 on Saturday. But main thing that I want everybody to hear is 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Friday night. Come out and it's going to be live streamed on TrackWired YouTube channel, and literally the whole world is going to be watching because it is one of the best track meets in the world. So we'd like to show the world what Manhattan, Kansas is all about.
Well, that's incredible, and I'm glad you guys are giving fans an opportunity to sit that close and see those great athletes in person. That feels like just unprecedented access to incredible athletes. But, Coach, I hope we get to do this again here very soon and continue to talk about the improvements of K-State track and field. Congratulations on the success so far, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me, and I appreciate you and the support. And, dude, K-State Nation, it's awesome, man. We're excited to be part of it.
Thank you, Coach. And that is K-State Director of Track and Field and Cross Country, Coach Travis Geopfert, here on The Game. We'll take a quick break. We'll wrap up Hour 1 coming up next here on News Radio KMAN.
Your home for K-State sports.
Noel, hot pass, runs it down, puts it up late. Oh, are you kidding? Okay.
This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
My name's Billy Segrist, and I had the pleasure of using interim hospice care for both my mom and my husband. Fred was about 6 months and maybe 4 months for my mom that needed care. When they started my husband, they thought he'd probably be a 1 or 2 year patient. And as it turned out, it went a lot faster than we had expected. But just knowing that I had them on board and I could call interim anytime and ask questions or have someone come out anytime I needed them made it really nice. I would strongly encourage, if you're thinking you're going to need some assistance, to call Interim Healthcare. They can deal with both home health as well as the hospice, and they're a great support group for you.
Interim Healthcare and Hospice. We improve people's lives.
We care, we're there. Interim Healthcare.
Whether it's game day or a night out with great live music, Bottle Cap Sports Bar delivers the atmosphere you're looking for. It's Manhattan's go-to spot for catching every Wildcats or Chiefs game and enjoying live music that plays the songs you actually know. Come early for a good seat, great music, and cold drinks served up right. Stay in the loop. Check out their Facebook page for the full schedule of events. Bottle Caps, where the music's live, the game's always on, and the vibe is just right.
Bottle Cap Sports Bar located on West Anderson across from Dairy Queen.
Stormont Vale Health is your go-to for exceptional care right in your own neighborhood.
The Flint Hills campus in Junction City is open 24/7 with a full-service hospital and rural health clinic. You'll find primary care and advanced lab services at our Wamego clinic to keep your family healthy without the drive. Our Manhattan campus offers a wide range of primary and specialty providers, plus imaging and lab services, and a pick-me-up at Radina's inside our campus. Visit StormontVale.org.
Stormont Vale Health. High-quality care closer to home.
We
are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
America's hunters and target shooters, along with firearm, ammunition, and archery manufacturers, have invested more than $46 billion to help state fish and wildlife agencies manage and protect wildlife and wildlands across America. For more information, visit outdoorstewards.org.
All right, we're wrapping up hour one of the game here on News Radio KMAN. And again, a big thank you to Travis Geopfert joining us for here on the show for a few moments. Again, get your questions or comments in on the text line, 785-537-1350 about K-State Sports. We're doing a Q&A in our last segment. That's going to lead off a short hour number 2 as we're out at 5:30 today. But that text will also get you in the running to win a 4-pack of tickets to K-State men's basketball, as on Sunday they are hosting number 8 Iowa State inside of Bramlage Coliseum. The game is on Sunday, 1 o'clock for the tip-off, and Power Keg Game Day will be starting at 11 a.m. here on, it'll be only on 101.5 K-Rock. And again, that is 11 a.m. for Power Keg Game Day, only on 101.5 K-Rock. Asking for your questions or comments because I'm flying solo today, so I'd like to hear what you have to say or have your questions you want answered about K-State athletics right now, K-State basketball. It can be about football, or if you just want to say hey and you want to get your name in the running for the tickets, that'll be just fine as well. That's also coming up next. A reminder, we got K-State women's basketball on Sunday 102.5. They're hosting Colorado. The return of Zy Walker to Bramlage Coliseum will tip off at 6:30. And also coming up tonight, Manhattan High girls basketball. The Tribe taking on Shawnee Mission East in the first round of the 39th annual Mid-America Classic at the historic Roundhouse from McPherson. 6:10 tip-off. Cole Dutchendorf has pregame at 6 o'clock here on KMAN.
At ESB Financial, we think it makes sense to pay you. That's right, get paid 5.04% annual percentage yield on balances up to $20,000 with our free Kasasa Cash checking account. We'll even refund your ATM fees nationwide, and the best part is there's no monthly service charges or minimum balances to keep. All you have to do to earn your rewards are a few simple things each month. The best part? These things make banking easier. Visit esbfinancial.com to learn more. Special terms may apply. ESB Financial, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This Valentine's Day, treat your sweetheart to an unforgettable evening at the Friendship House in Wamego. Indulge in our exquisite 5-course tasting menu, crafted with care for this special occasion. But don't wait, this exclusive dining experience is by reservation only. Reserve your spot and make this Valentine's Day truly memorable. The Friendship House in Wamego, where love is always on the menu. Call 785-456-9616. Friendship House, just off the Yellow Brick Road by City Park in downtown Wamego.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo.
From lending options to treasury management services, KS State Bank provides innovative solutions to help your business succeed. KS State Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender, KMAN, Manhattan. News Radio KMAN weather.
Well, currently in Manhattan, 31. Tonight, it's a low of 12. North wind 5 miles per hour. There is a chance of flurries before noon on Friday. 22 will be our high. A couple of more days of cold. 19 on Saturday, and then Sunday. And basically, for a while, I'll just put it that way, it looks like we're going to have a high consistently in the low 40s. And sunshine to mostly cloudy skies. I will take it. A short hour to the game is coming up next on KMAN.
KMAN Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
All right, short hour to the game on KMAN. I'm Mitch Fortner, and I'm solo today. That's why throughout the show I've been asking for your questions or comments being texted in through our KMAN text line, 785-537-1350. We have had quite a bit come in, which is, I'm happy, very happy about that. But just a heads up, I'm probably not going to be able to get to anything because we got about 20 minutes left. So let's go ahead and start getting to these things. The very last question I saw pop in, and the reason I'm also asking for these questions and comments is because we're also giving away a 4-pack of tickets for K-State's game Sunday against Iowa State, Bramlage. We're trying to make sure Iowa State fans don't get these, so if you'd like to win these, question, comment, or just throw your name in the hat, text us, 785-537-1350. The very last question I just saw pop in caught my attention. In a given school year, how many guys are there that function as Willie the Wildcat? Because we all know there's more than one. It's a good question because I think it feels like there's at least 5. I believe there's quite a few. And it's also a very sacred job. Obviously, nobody wants, even though there's no whole body suit. There used to be, I believe, a whole body suit, but it's just the head now. But I have seen a Willie behind the scenes take the head off and then put it in his bag. That was crazy. It was like seeing Bill Snyder eat for the first time. It's like something I thought I would never see before. There's a lot. I don't have an exact number, but I know there's more than you probably think. Another question here from the 785. If hypothetically K-State fired Tang, where would we go for the next head coach? It's an interesting question. To be quite honest with you, I haven't given it a whole lot of thought because I don't think it's going to happen this year unless there's something that changes, if there's a negotiation on the buyout or if the NIL's cut at its knees, but K-State still has to try to be successful, even though I do think there's going to be a cut if Jerome Tang is obviously here for his 5th season here at K-State, just based on just a few names I've heard pop up, as in guys that could be just in general ready for taking the next step as a head coach in college basketball or a high riser in college basketball. Tony Skinn at George Mason is off to a phenomenal start. He's in his 3rd year. He has that team 19-2 right now. And the other one that seems like he's like destined to be a head coach at the power level after this season is Miami, Ohio coach Travis Steele. That team's undefeated right now. They're a top 25 team that nobody's talking about. They should, because the MAC is awesome. But also, this also, I'm not even considering right now like current assistants like elsewhere that obviously that's an area where Gene would be interested in hiring. He's done that a lot. I mean, across the board, you look around what K-State has as coaches right now, a lot of them previously were assistants. Some of them are first-time head coaches. So, but ask me again in March. I think that's a conversation for March, not January necessarily. I think that is a March conversation. From the 913, favorite player out of the football portal. So I'm assuming that's K-State, that's who they picked up. So I appreciate the question. because this is an easy one for me to answer. I'm going to give you 3 answers. If you listen to the show, none of these names are going to come as a surprise. My number 1 is Mekhi Mason, the linebacker from Louisiana Tech. I like his versatility. I like his ability to be a run stopper. He could be a great Mike linebacker. I think he has the tools to be a Will linebacker. He is good in coverage against the pass. He is a very good closer to the quarterback. He had some phenomenal plays against LSU. Now, that's very significant to say because if I'm going to give you tape to go watch that LSU game. So I felt like he did a little bit of everything in that game. Like he had one of the craziest sacks I've seen in 2025 where he was 15, 20 yards away from the quarterback in coverage. He just takes off and goes and gets Garrett Nussmeier and sacks him. Maybe that's also on Garrett for not taking care of the football and just throwing it away, but that was a heck of a play by Mekhi Mason. He has my favorite film of anybody. There's also quite a bit to watch on him. I think he's a really exciting player. I think he is a perfect fit for a Colin Klein defense, for a K-State defense in general. Like he could play multiple positions, and he also brings a lot of experience. Wendell Gregory, the end from Oklahoma State. I mean, you're talking about the Big 12 Defensive Freshman of the Year. This guy's a future NFL draft pick. Very special talent. Did a lot in a year. And I love that he's going to wear number 1. I noticed that. He's going to wear number 1. That's cold. A defensive end wearing number 1. And then offensively, I'll give you one player, Josh Manning, a wide receiver. I think this is the perfect fit for him. I feel like this was destined to be, even though he didn't officially start at K-State. But I think this is the best spot for him to break out. I've stated this before. Last year at Missouri, they were a running offense. They had a great running back. Quarterback got hurt, right? They ran it more than any power program, I think, in the country last year. So that's a lot less passes going around, even though he had a career high in passing in receptions. I believe all but 3 of his catches went for first downs. So obviously, I believe he has a knack for knowing where the sticks are, which is refreshing. But also, he's not playing behind a Luther Burden and a Theo Weiss, which he had to do that for 2 years. And then his 3rd year, they're not passing the football a ton after, especially the non-conference slate for Missouri. And then just working with Thad Ward. I think that's great promise and a possibility to really step up with just bringing all this together. Just seems like a perfect match, a perfect fit. So those would be my 3 answers to that. From the 785, and there's some random stuff in here. Do I need to answer a question? No, you do not. You're in the running now for the tickets. There's only one Willie the Wildcat? Yeah, technically. But if you just look at their bodies, there's no way. There is no way. And they all do the KSU a little bit differently. If I have one gripe about Willie the Wildcat, is that, look, I may trigger people just by bringing this up, or just talking about the differences. Back in the day, on the 3rd run through the KSU, it used to be slow. K S U. Like you said, take our time. Now it's a lot quicker. It's not what it used to be. I like it the old way. Anyway, if that's my only complaint, I think we're doing all right. From, let's see, the 785, when are NIL deals paid? That's a great question. Before the conclusion of the season, yeah, I mean, a famous story of this actually is the whole story about Tyreek Smith. I call it a famous story. This was talked about for a while, though, because of the whole money dispute, which, he was arguing that Penny Hardaway did not give him in Memphis what he had promised, that an assistant coach lied to him about certain promises about money and all that. There's also some rumors out there that he was also promised to be a starter, and he wasn't going to be a starter, so he decided to leave. But he had already he was enrolled. The semester started, the season had started. Then he decides to leave, and he didn't get the extra year of eligibility that he wanted. But it was also out there that he already cashed some checks. Like we're talking like $200,000 worth of checks, and the season hadn't even started yet. So I mean, from what I understand, like it could be just like paychecks, Or it could be, I haven't really heard a whole lot of like lump sum type of things. Plus, not a lot of schools, I would imagine, like not a ton of schools are all paying these things in lump sums. Certainly before the season's even done. Like Dylan Edwards, he got his NIL cut off when he decided to leave the team. He hadn't been paid in full. It got cut off. So I think that's an example of it just maybe everybody's a little different. Maybe some are different than others, but it's stretched over the season from what I understand. All right, let's see what else we have from the – let's see here. I'm getting a little lost here. From the 785, how come you're not as hard on Mitty as you are on Tang? Not that Tang doesn't deserve it, but it's like Mitty can't do no wrong. Okay. Hold on just a second here. First of all, Mitty had a really special team these last 4 years. He lost a lot of talent in the offseason. They made it to the Sweet 16. I'm a diehard K-State women's basketball fan that doesn't necessarily have to do anything with Mitty. I'm not saying he's perfect. I will say, though, I believe he has a plan. And I don't think – Tang said it 2 days ago. Doesn't have a plan right now because of the rules changing all the time. Jeff Mitty built a Sweet 16 team with retaining players. Retaining Sundell and Jalen Glenn and, Aoki Lee, dealing with so many injuries, but she stuck it out and she never left and remained a Wildcat. And there were some growing pains, like there were some depth questions and some moving pieces on the back end of things and never having a backup for Aoki Lee until her senior year, her final year with Kennedy Taylor. But now I think this is the best example of how teams are moving forward. Jeff Mitty tried to get a star 5 in there, right? The first of all, the whole Kennedy Taylor situation, I feel like they still got screwed over that because that word didn't even get to them until October and the season was weeks away from starting, and now they don't have a 5 in K-State for this most of this season. With the third youngest roster in America, has played without a post presence. When Sundell and Jalen and Briley and others were, for a couple of years trying to figure out ways to play without Aoki Lee, that wasn't easy. When you don't have a true post presence, a true 5, that's tough to do. It's tough to figure out. That's an option that you just don't have. So K-State's playing smaller, but he's recruited a bunch of freshmen. He's recruiting very well. I shouldn't say just he, like his whole staff is recruiting very well. You're talking about 3 really good freshmen coming out of high school. We're looking at 5 and 4 stars. That's going to continue next year with Maddie Vickery coming in from Washburn Rural, who is a tremendous scorer and a rebounder. She could probably play multiple positions for you. And this is going to be built on retaining players and not having to rely on the transfer portal. K-State wanted to get that good 5, but the portal was just crazy. It was just asking a little bit too much for what K-State was going to be able to pay. That hopefully is going to change. But they have a plan. They have been more successful lately, obviously. Just of recent, he's had 2 players that are hopefully going to be up in the rafters of Bramlage Coliseum. They deserve their flowers, and I know this hasn't been the best season, but at least they've beaten top 25 teams. I see the effort. I see the try. It is, and there's no way Coach Mitty, I've heard the press conferences, I've been there, I've heard him talk after the games. This has been a really stressful season. It's not anything that's going to be probably remembered for a long time. This isn't going to be a historic season. But it's about building on from this. He's hopefully going to be retaining a good chunk of these players, filling the rest with not having to go 10 deep into the transfer portal and 1 player out of the high school ranks. That's not going to fly with this program. This program is way more under control than the men's program is. So if it sounds like I'm favoring Jeff Mitty, I think they've earned it. I think he's earned that. I think his staff has earned that. There's a lot of earning still to be done for Coach Tang after the Elite 8 run. There's a long way to go, and this season is obviously not helping. From the 785, Ish Masood, Brendan Hazen, or Abdi Bashir. So I'm guessing this is based on who would I rather play Call of Duty with. Abdi seems like he could be he would be a sniper, you know. I'd have him as a sniper. Brendan Hansen is a run and gun. He's, you know, spray and pray. And Ish Masood, it's probably a camper. I don't know. So I'm assuming this is about just who I would pick out of the three. So you have three different players that have one thing in common. They were good three-point shooters, right? Exceptional three-point shooters. Neither of them were exactly great defensively. So, I mean, Ish Masood was a stretch four, and he struggled with defending guys bigger than him. David Gasson was a better defender than Ish, but, I mean, he had two very legendary shots in that last NCAA tournament. Against Kentucky, that deep three and that baseline short corner two against Michigan State to put Casey up three. I mean, he's definitely had more legendary moments than these other two. Brendan Haas that deep three against Iowa State, I'll never forget that. Statistically, his one season, he was actually probably the best defender out of these three. But his numbers shooting might be the least. And then Abdi Bashir is just a plain old sharpshooter. Was he 48% this year or something? Unfortunately, he's injured. Who would I pick out of these three? Man. I mean, Ish Masood is my favorite name of these to announce. Abdi's Ish, he'd be playing more if, first of all, healthy, of course. He'd be playing more if he could defend. Man, that's I'm going to go Ish Masood just because they played him off the bench. These other two had to start. I mean, honestly, Brendan Hazen and Abdi Bashir probably at this level probably shouldn't be starters, especially Brendan. He started all last season. Ish Masood, him coming off the bench that final year, and Keontae obviously taking the reins at that position. At times, that was the right fit for him. He did end up leaving KC because he wanted to be a starter. Let's see, we have time for one or two more. From the 785. What football player would make the best pro wrestler? So obviously this is right up my alley. So I wish I knew more about the new guys. If I was to go with last year's roster. Here's the deal, though. People forget about this. They think it's just about the look. It's just about the height, the muscles, the face. Well, yeah, if this was 1989 and everybody was juicing and everybody was looking like Hulk Hogan, okay. No, wrestlers are small these days, and obviously character. You got to be entertaining. You got to have a personality. My favorite personality was Luis Rodriguez. So I'm thinking Lucha Mask. I don't know if he knows any Spanish, but I got as a short person myself, I was given the advice one time by pro wrestler Tommy Dreamer that when I was 22 years old, I asked him about getting into wrestling. He suggested get a mask and learn Spanish. That's your best fit to go to Mexico, as small as you are, and use your speed and agility to be a wrestler. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound like I'm going to be crushing beers with Stone Cold anytime soon, so I may just go into the radio business instead of pro wrestling, but I'm still ring announcing. Luis Rodriguez isn't the biggest guy, but he's got the personality. He's got some charisma to him. That's really it. That's honestly, to be honest with you, I could mention any big guy on the team. That's a little too easy. Luis Rodriguez has the personality. So I'm going to have to go with Luis Rodriguez as my pick for the professional wrestler on K-State's football team. All right, we got to wrap it up. If you are the winner, I'm about to text you. Oh, somebody texted in, players get an NIL check on the 30th of every month. That you know more than I do. Can I pass and double the amount of tickets to the next person? I think that's like an online thing, right? Kiss or pass it and double it to the next person. I've seen those on the reels. Anyway, I appreciate your questions or comments. I think we need to do this again. A lot coming in. I didn't get to everything. I'll text the winner of tickets here in just a moment to K-State and Iowa State. Until then, I'm Mitch Fortner. Go Cats.
Tweet the game, KMAN, or call 537-1350 and get in touch with the show. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Roll down the window and roll back the memories at Vista Drive-In. Juicy burgers, crispy fries, creamy shakes mixed just right, fresh squeezed limeades, and that taste you've loved for generations. Family night, date night, or just a quick bite done right, Vista Drive-In makes every stop a classic. So hop in the car, bring your appetite, enjoy the food that never goes out of style. Vista Drive-In, great food, great memories, served fast. Vista Drive-In, serving Manhattan since 1964, a Streeter family business. Our family serving yours.
It's time to check the benefits and rewards of your current checking account. That means it's Central time. Central National Bank has checking and savings accounts, as well as convenient benefits like roadside assistance, cell phone protection, and other cool rewards. Check with Central for details. Account opening